Over the last 3 weeks or so, we've gotten plenty of calls in as guys harvest the fields as the weather cooperates of suspicion of Palmer amaranth within their field. They have calls in and trying to distinguish the difference between Palmer amaranth and water hemp, common water hemp out there in the field, or other pigweed species. There are a lot of different distinguishing characteristics of Palmer amaranth, some of those being hairs on the leaf, leaf shape, leaf size, chevrons on the leaf that can work fairly well for adolescent plants. The problem in the fall is as these plants mature, there's not a whole lot of leaf tissue left, and the leaves are not in that good a shape to do a lot of distinguishing, to show a lot of distinguishing characteristics. The other thing that is problematic in diagnosing water hemp and Palmer amaranth is that they're such a diverse species. The distinguishing characteristics, say like chevrons on the leaf for Palmer amaranth, chevrons on the leaf indicate that it is most likely a Palmer amaranth plant. But absence of those chevrons does not indicate that it is not a Palmer amaranth plant. So it can still be Palmer amaranth without the chevrons. And a lot of those distinguishing characteristics, because the species is so diverse, it can still be a Palmer amaranth without some or a lot of those distinguishing characteristics. In the fall, it's a little bit different. They're a lot easier to tell apart, I think, because as these plants mature, we start focusing in on the seed heads of the water hemp and the Palmer amaranth. And you notice a lot of differences between the shape and the size, and that's what we're going to go over here. Some of those distinguishing characteristics that may clue you into that you have some water hemp out in your field or some Palmer amaranth, and what to do with it once you find some of those batches. So when we look at these two plants, this is the top of the plants. This is Palmer amaranth on your left and water hemp on your right. We see the major difference between these seed heads is definitely the size or the length of these seed heads. This is usually the characteristic that farmers see from the combine seed that makes them want to get down and actually pull a sample and figure out whether it's Palmer amaranth or water hemp. But water hemp plants are very diverse as well. We've seen huge plants out there with very long seed heads as well. And we look at something like this. All of a sudden, this one's not as mature as this one here, but it's well on its way to having a fairly prolonged seed head. And it's going to be a large water hemp plant, but it is water hemp nonetheless. So, as we look back at these two plants, one of the other distinguishing characteristics between these two plants is these bracts on the seed head itself. They're a modified leaf, and they'll actually grow longer on the Palmer amaranth and come to a sharp point. So when I grab this seed head, it is actually prickly. We can see that. When I grab the actual water hemp seed head, it's soft, almost fluffy. When I grab this, it pokes me, and it actually is painful if you were to grab that head and squeeze it. And that's probably one of the most distinguishing characteristics between the two. If I saw a seed head right like this out in the field, and I grabbed it and it was prickly, I would assume that this is a Palmer amaranth plant. The University of Illinois currently offers a free testing program through the utilization of some grants where they'll not only tell you whether it's water hemp or Palmer amaranth, but also what modes of action it may or may not be resistant to. All right. There's a form that you can fill out to be able to send these in. What you want to do when you're collecting these samples is collect the tops of 5 different plants, bag each of those plants individually in their own sandwich type bag, put all 5 sandwich bags into a gallon bag, include your information, the location, state, county, township where you found these weeds, and your name and phone number, email address for them to get back to you with the results. There's no guarantees on the timeline of those results, anywhere from 3 weeks to 3 months. They've been fairly rapid in the ones that we've sent in early this year, and it's a pretty impressive service that they're offering. Another thing to take into consideration, we've had multiple reports of guys that lease machines or demo machines from a dealer that came from someplace else that were not cleaned out, actually spreading water hemp into their field. Roundup resistant water hemp, they can see it in the first pass or two that they make with the combine once they got that machine into there. That's one thing to think about, is this is spread very, very easily through your combine. The seeds are very small, can attach to anything. One thing to look at this paper right here, it is full of weed seeds. And realize that those seeds travel very easily. They can travel from field to field. If you have a problem field, treat it as if you're switching over to, say, seed beans, that you're going to clean your machine out thoroughly before you move on. Or if you have a patch, some guys are talking about if they have big patch of these weeds, they'll actually combine around them and come back to those last, trying not to spread those areas out. Also realize that the seeds are already made, so killing these plants at this stage in the game, most of them are on their way out already, isn't going to help. Pulling these weeds and dropping them back on the ground is not going to help. It's just going to distribute those seeds. Mowing them is not going to help. All right. At this point, about the only way to contain them would be make sure you're not spreading them out of the areas that they're in already, or two, pulling them and actually either burning or bagging the plants in the field, getting rid of them so they're not shedding the seeds. They produce tons of seeds per plant. 1 or 2 plants now, it would be worth your time even to go out there and pull them and bag them, because that could be hundreds or thousands of plants the following year, and it could explode rapidly after that. All right. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.